Well, good morning, Top Fan Rivalry followers. It's Bill and Jackson from Top Fan Rivalry. Yes, it's Friday. Yes, that means it's time for the weekly review. Good morning, Jackson. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's the end of the week, much needed end of the week.
Yes, and unfortunately, we are on day two of the long national nightmare.
Yes, and pitchers
Yeah,
and catchers report in what 170 something days.
who cares about that? You know what's coming up, Jackson? 77 days, the first annual Top Fan Rivalry Fan Fest, Las Vegas, Nevada. So why are we counting down pitchers and catchers? We should be counting down to Fan Fest. 78 days, baby.
You know what? I like that. It's under 100 days.
Or yeah, 77 days. It's just crazy. Here at Top Fan, we do not sleep. Literally, we do not sleep. so,
Not
so,
by our own choice. We just do
yeah,
not.
not by our own choice, just because we're that cool. No, I'm teasing. All right, Jackson, get us started. What's number one on your list this week? I'm sure you and I are going to have a lot of similar things to
I
talk
mean,
about.
there's a Texas-sized elephant in the room.
Yeah, bring it. Now, is it a
The
Texas-sized elephant, like the state? Are we talking like Houston, San Antonio? What are we talking about here?
isn't it a Dallas Arlington-sized elephant in the room? The Texas Rangers have won their first World Series ever, Bill. Snapping the second longest World Series drought in Major League Baseball.
Wow.
I'll give you a nickel if you can tell me who has the longest drought.
Longest drought now that Texas, because Texas came
Yeah,
into existence.
I'll give you a nickel because a nickel was worth a lot. It's been that long since the
Yeah.
team won.
So it's wait a second. I remember seeing this on TV. So Texas had the longest. Now that they don't have the
Well,
longest,
they had the second. They had the second longest. Who is the longest?
who is the longest? San Diego. Hold on, I'm thinking here. Um, I'm gonna say San Diego.
No, it is a team that is pre.
Oh. Longest World Series drought?
Yeah,
The Cleveland Guardians slash Indians.
that is correct. They last
Okay, I
won
was
it in
thinking, I,
1948. Bill.
yeah, yeah, no,
Been a while.
I misread the question. I misread the question. Ask
No,
me
you're
again.
good.
Ask me again. I was thinking of the teams that had never won a World Series.
Yeah,
My bad.
I think if you go teams that have never won a World Series, I think the Padres and then the Brewers are the two newest teams that haven't won.
Yeah,
So I think you were right on both answers for that question. But yeah,
gosh, I hate
congratulations to
knowing
the
everything. What are you laughing
congratulations,
about? I didn't say anything funny.
but congratulations to the Rangers. They won it in 5 games. All games were pretty close. Even that 11-7 game got a little dicey towards the end.
Yes, it did.
It didn't feel close, but 11-7 is nothing to scoff at in playoffs. So the Rangers deserved it. They outplayed everyone they went up against, and credit Bruce Bochy on winning his fourth World Series championship.
The first three didn't count because of the team he was managing.
I mean, maybe in your eyes, but
Being a Dodger fan doesn't count.
well, I was going to say this for the honorable mentions, but you lined me up perfectly. Did you know he won the World Series 10 years to the day? No, 13 years to the day that he eliminated the Rangers from the World Series for the Giants' first World Series championship in the 2010s.
Yeah,
It's like
not
poetry,
their
Bill.
first World Series championship overall, but their first one in San Francisco.
The first one in San Francisco, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I normally I'd say they cheated, but since we've had the 2017 World Series, that joke just doesn't, you know, do well anymore, right?
I mean, Prime Tim Lincecum did feel like a cheat code, so
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Well, hats off to the Texas Rangers. They did what I thought they were going to do, which was win the World Series. I thought that the only way that Arizona was going to win the World Series is if they used their speed, which they killed Philadelphia with their speed. And for some reason, they were not getting on um, as often as they needed to be. Let's just say that. So, my number one is going to stay with the World Series. Obviously, congratulations again to Texas, like I just mentioned. But for me, the number one was how much fundamental baseball did we see in the World Series and how it played itself out. the world, honestly, the fundamental baseball, if you just look at game five alone, the Rangers were, I'm sorry, the Diamondbacks were 0-9 with runners in scoring position. Second and third, nobody out. You can't figure out how to get somebody in. Your pitcher is pitching a no-hitter going into the sixth inning. Into the sixth inning, you're going into the sixth inning. He's pitching a no-hitter against guys like Corey Seager and Marcus Simeon, and yet you can't scratch away a couple of runs. So fundamental baseball is what really won this World Series. Um, and when you don't have runners on, you can't get them over, get them in. And so I was for those, and I looked at the statistics yesterday. You'll appreciate this, Jackson. Of the last 5 years, this was the highest grossing World Series attendance wise in the stadium. That was a 5 game World Series, with the exception of 2018. Okay, 2018 had 8,000 more people attended. But again, remember, Dodger Stadium is bigger than either of the two stadiums that they played in. So, and you had 3 games at Dodger Stadium that year. And so, um, yeah, it shame on you for those of you that aren't baseball purists. I'm just joking, but shame on you if you're not baseball purists. And if you said, "Oh, I'm not a fan of Texas, I'm not a fan of Arizona, I'm not going to watch it," it was a phenomenal World Series to watch. Great fundamentals.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, my number two is every game was close. And those people that are, maybe upset that their team didn't make it to the World Series, I'm not going to call any fan bases out
Dodgers,
because,
Braves,
well, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's several, Bill.
Royals,
Uh, maybe them not so much.
A's.
I think the A's fans are angry about everything, Bill, but they have a right to be. Um, uh, but it was just good baseball. Even though the series went 4-1, it was good fundamental baseball, and we talked about it. And I want to talk a little bit about the World Series MVP. Staying on the World Series for my number two is Corey Seager, who becomes the first player to ever win two World Series MVPs, one in each league, and he's only the fourth player to ever do that. The other three being Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, and Reggie Jackson.
Those weren't in both leagues, though.
No, those were all, Koufax did it for the Dodgers, Gibson for the Cardinals, and Reggie did it with the A's and the Yankees.
A's and the Yankees, yeah, yeah, okay, yeah. No, it's a short list, and honestly, Corey Seager is right now. If his career ended because of injury, God forbid, or something, you would look at him as the Hall of Very Good, but he is putting up a Hall of Fame caliber career. He really is. And
Oh,
so,
yeah. And you know how they like the sports writers like that narrative of postseason success? That the man is
mhm.
clutch in the postseason. And that always annoyed me as a Braves fan because whenever they played the Dodgers, it was always Corey Seager with the back-breaking hit. He seemed to come
Well,
up every single time with the chance to do it.
yeah, I'm trying to figure out something. Yeah, Corey Seager is he's on the younger side too. I mean, he's still got some time in his career. I'm trying to look and see here. Yeah, he just finished his year 29. He's still got another 8 years signed with the Rangers, which will take him to age 37. If you're curious out there, sports fans, and I know you are, he's got 1,019 hits. So he probably could finish his career with 23, 2,400 hits, maybe 2,500, which puts him in that sweet spot to be considered. But if he gets one more World Series championship, then he's there. Jackson, just as a side note, as you're mentioning Corey Seager, as a side note, who has the most home runs in World Series history?
In World Series history, it's Mickey Mantle.
Nope.
And Italy, no?
Look it up. Look it up. If I'm not mistaken, because I saw this statistic on the television. Who is it, Jackson?
It's Mickey Mantle with 18.
Look that up again. How many does Reggie have?
Reggie has 10.
And how many does Corey have?
6.
Okay. You might. What website are you on? You're looking that up.
Uh, I mean, that was Stat Muse. I could go to Baseball Reference.
Yeah, it's last I the stat that they showed on the TV was that Mickey Mantle had 18, Reggie had 19 in the World Series, and Corey has 19.
That might be playoff home runs all time.
Okay. And and that could be too.
I,
So
I think that's what it is. That
okay,
sounds right. Because I
okay,
remember seeing that, and that's right for their playoff total. Because fun fact, for the youngins, Mickey Mantle only ever played in the World Series. There were no playoffs back
correct. So I
then.
stand corrected. So Corey Seager's in the likes of Mickey Mantle and Reggie Jackson right now.
Yeah,
That's what I was trying to put.
yeah, I got your point. Yeah,
Oof.
crazy.
Yeah, but isn't it nuts to think that when you're like, think of it, if they make the playoffs next year and he hits one home run, he'll be the leading home run guy in all time in the playoffs.
That is Manny Ramirez still with 29. Altuve's a couple behind him. He'd be the leading all-time left-handed hitter, I believe,
Yeah, left-handed hitter.
passing Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah. Well, and
It,
again,
it's
Al
all
two.
it's also confusing with all the playoffs we play now.
Well, yeah, and in baseball we count everything, and we count. For those of you that are listening, go, man, this guy's an idiot. He doesn't know what he's talking about. It's a good thing the stats guy goes, listen, baseball, they count everything in baseball. It's like when you hit when the sun's out and it's a Tuesday and the grass is less than an inch thick. Like they've got everything counted.
They keep track of
Everything.
your batting average of day games that start at 4 o'clock p.m. or something like that.
Yeah, it's
You know,
ridiculous.
they'll
Ridiculous.
track that.
So my number two is we're going to stay with the two players that I think are going to be household names very, very soon. Young kids. Evan Carter for the Texas Rangers. This kid is very, very good. And I think that we'll hear a lot about Evan going forward in the years to come. And then the other one is Corbin Carroll. That guy's running away with an award this year. Uh, Literally running. I mean, that guy, uh, and it made me think. I was talking to somebody on the podcast that aired this morning, and I said to him, "Can you imagine if in the early '80s when you had Vince Coleman and Willie McGee and Ricky Henderson in their prime, if you had the pitch clock and or the two disengagement rule? I mean, those guys would have 200 stolen bases a season. They'd make you throw over twice, and then say, you can't throw over anymore. Here we go, off we go." But yeah, hats off to those two young guys, Evan Carter, um, and Corbin Carroll. I think we're going to hear about them a lot in years to come.
Yeah, Corbin Carroll. I mean, this year he went 30-50 or something like that.
Yeah,
Absolutely crazy player. Evan Carter in limited time was, key in the Rangers even making the playoffs. He was really good in the postseason. So I like that call, Bill.
yeah. Evan Carter saved Game 1 for the Rangers at the juice box against the Astros with that catch,
Yeah.
right? I mean, in a month prior, he was playing in what, Double A or something like that.
Yeah. I believe he hit third in the lineup too. So he's hitting third in the World Series after playing in Double A.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, all right. So, what you got for number three?
Number three,
Mhm.
I'm going to stick with the World Series and say, can Texas make this? I don't want to say a dynasty, but a regular occurrence making the World Series. They got a top farm system. They got a lot of really good players coming up. Evan Carter was the first. They have a really nice young core. And I think they've done what a lot of teams aspire to do, where they get key free agents at, good positions. I think Corey Seager, Marcus Simeon up the middle has really kind of solidified their middle infield. And then they've spent big on the rotation. And I think they'll continue to do that. But with their young core of hitters, I think this Texas team is going to stick around for a while and
Yeah,
really kind of be in the mix. So hats off to the team building aspect of the Texas Rangers.
Chris Young. Yeah, um, I would, uh, I would say yes with a small caveat. The Angels need to get better to compete. They need to make this an off season to remember, to compete. Obviously, the A's are still in a rebuilding mode. Um, and so you've got those two teams kind of out of your way, but Seattle is going to hang around and they're going to get better. They're young. Um, the the Astros are what I'm going to say getting older. Breckman, Altuve, they're starting to get older. Kate Upton, people like that on the team. So Texas, yes, only place I think Texas is weak. Only place that I think Texas is weak is I think that they're weak in the bullpen and they've a little bit better there. Um,
Yeah, but let's be real. Who isn't weak in the bullpen, Bill? In this day and age in baseball, where you need 13 guys coming out to close a game sometime.
Absolutely. Well, they could be here to stay. The My number three it isn't about the World Series, but it's kind of about the World Series. What do we learn if you had the keys to the kingdom for any team? And I know you're a Braves fan, I'm a Dodger fan, but for any team, if you had the keys to the kingdom and you're a GM, do you notice something here? And this is what I would say you notice. Okay. Do you notice that younger is winning? So you've got to have one or two superstars, right? In your case, you've got Acuna, right? And you got Austin Riley, a few others that are good, but you've got Acuna there.
Couple guys.
Um, Dodgers have Mookie and Freddie, those type of things. But notice that the younger kids and people that can steal and play the fundamental baseball, the small ball, those type of things, that's where you're winning. That's where you're going to win, right? And so, do you organize your team if you're a team like the Yankees? Do you spend the offseason trying to go out and get your high price talent, or do you spend the time bringing up younger kids, starting to develop that speed aspect? If you're a team like the Yankees, you play in a division with Baltimore, who's young and fast and is there to stay. You play in a division against Toronto. You play in a division against Boston, who's going to make some moves. So how do you rebuild? How do you not necessarily rebuild? Not all teams are in rebuilding mode, but how do you build your team if you have the keys to the kingdom?
I think, people really get caught up on the draft, drafting the player with the highest potential, the highest ceiling. I think that you'll see that teams that are really good draft guys that fit their coaching style, that are really good at some things, but then they have the coaching staff to cover the weaknesses. You see the Braves and the Dodgers and Tampa just pump out pitchers like it's nobody's business. And it's because they feel comfortable enough to take risks and get guys that are maybe a little bit older, that are more major league ready, rather than, if you're in a rebuild mindset, the classic rebuild mindset is to go, oh, the safe high ceiling 18-year-old, because the 18-year-old will hold value for longer. But I think it's that, and like you said, the superstar aspect. I don't think you need superstars. I think you just need good, solid star players. They're good clubhouse guys. And like you said, the fundamental baseball to be played, building your team on speed, I guess is the last point. So I saw something really interesting that said analytics win over 162 games. Your gut wins over in the playoffs. And I think a lot of teams, you see a lot of success by analytics driven teams. And then when they get to the postseason, conventional managing, the old school style of managing tends to win out more.
Yeah. Jackson, it's funny you said,
Sometimes like a team, you have to.
it's
Sorry.
funny that you said, go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep interrupting. My bad.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna say you have to find the guys that fit your system and fit your coaching style that you can trust in when the chips are down.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, so one of the things that I noticed, especially during the playoff push and then in the playoffs, something that drove me nuts. Okay. I'm sitting up there on the mound and I've been pitching 5 years in the MLB, let's say. Okay. And you're managing on the other side, right? And you pinch hit somebody for somebody else. Guess what's going to happen before that pinch hitter gets up? Pitching coach is going to walk out to the mound and tell me how to
Pitch
pitch.
change.
Okay. I've been doing this all my life. You mean to tell me that that guy that's 60 feet 6 inches away from me, I can't figure out by the way that he stands where to pitch to him? Like, we've been playing this game for a bazillion years, and we didn't need analytics until the last 10 or 15 years. You mean to tell me that we can't, between my battery mate and I, we can't figure out how to get this guy out? Come
Yeah, and
on.
I think you see a lot with the playoffs. A lot of it's game flow, and it's a really interesting thing that some managers go with the analytical approach, and it seems like they pull guys either too early or too late based off analytics. Whereas back in the day, it'd be like a feel thing. You have a 2-run lead, and your pitcher's cruising. He walks a batter. You go, what's the worst he could do? Give up a game tying home run, and you just kind of let him roll.
Yeah.
And
I mean, analytics doesn't, it tells you where to throw the pitch. It doesn't let you throw the pitch. It's not AI. So it's not like that coach is going to come out and he's going to say, you know what? He can't hit a low fastball. Okay, so I get him 0-2 on low fastballs. And then I try to throw a low fastball and I leave it belt high and he hits a home run.
yeah,
It
and
happens. I
yeah, and
mean,
I think that's what the Rangers had an advantage with Bruce Bochy. You saw that he rode his starting pitchers at the right time, and he went to the bullpen at the right time. And he's an old school guy. He's not a super big analytics guy to kind of just tie it all in. I would want the freedom as a general manager to allow my manager to do his job. I give him the pieces he needs, and he does the job. I don't need to be calling the dugout phone in the fifth inning going, hey, why is he still in there? Lefties are hitting, 330 off of him. Why is he in there against 3 lefties this inning? No, let the manager do his job with the players he's given him. Simple as that.
yeah, truth, truth. Okay, do you have any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions is the last 3 World Series winning teams have had uh, the left-handed pitcher Will Smith on them. So if you want Jackson's pro tip as a front, hire me as a front office guy, sign Will Smith, and you'll win the World Series next year. That's 3 years in a row with 3 different teams, guys.
Yeah,
It's science, trust me. Analytics.
well, it is definitely analytics and it's definitely yeah, it's yeah. It it is what it is, right? I mean it. But Will Smith, congratulations to you. You keep getting rings and you are so loyal to your team. So loyal to your team that you keep bouncing around. I'm just teasing. All right. My honorable mention is we are now in off-season full swing. What do I mean by that? Max Muncy signs a contract extension. You're starting to see contracts get extended, people opting out, a number of players doing what they do. And so, as far as I'm concerned, let the offseason happen. But Jackson, are you counting until pitchers and catchers report? I mean, is that what's important to you right now?
Right now, I'm counting until free agency opens and stuff actually starts happening, because that's, you know, don't get me wrong, I love baseball season, but I think half the fun of baseball season is the off season. Don't we all love speculating on how to make your team better and playing armchair GM?
Jackson, you know what 77 days. That's all that matters. 77 days till the first ever TopFanRivalry Fan Fest. That's
That's also
now,
true.
Jackson, if somebody wants to save money on FanFest, they have to do it through locker room and they have to get locker room access. Is there any code out there that you're familiar with where they can get a discount on their locker room access?
You use code Jackson, you get 10% off, right?
10% off. So here's how this works, Jackson. If you were going to go to Vegas and you were not a locker room access member, it's going to be $150 per person.
Ooh.
Okay. If you get locker room access at $58 and you use code Jackson, you're going to save $5.80. So it's going to bring you down to about $52, give or take, right? For your locker room access. Then you go into the locker room, and then you can get 2 tickets for $75 each. So if you were sending you and a friend, you are now going to be able to go for just over $200 versus you and a friend going for $300. Pretty cool math, huh?
It's wonderful math. That's a good deal.
And if you are wondering, are we going, what the heck am I going to get for that? Well, we're going to be announcing this weekend what we're going to be doing and what our schedule is. But let's just say that if you did what we have planned on your own without Top Fan Rivalry, it's going to cost you probably on the low end $350, on the high end maybe even as much as 500. So just your registration alone and not having to worry about anything else is going to take you to the promised land. So I'm excited. We got a guy named Big Dave from Houston. He's going to come out and give free hugs, he says. We've got a number of people who have already registered. I'm hoping that we can sneak Jackson out there for a quick weekend. We'll see how that all plays itself out, but I'm hoping to sneak Jackson out. And then we'll see how that rolls. So Jackson, what else can we talk about? Have we done good for the last show of the regular baseball season? Now we're in the off season, and these will get fun. So have we done good for today?
I think so. Again, congratulations, Rangers, and everybody stay tuned. We are not going away
No, we are not.
in the offseason. You know,
We
we'll
are
see you at the
not.
same time next week. We'll call it the weekly review, but we're not really. Who knows what we'll be reviewing?
Yeah, we've got ideas, but we're not going to tell you. It's just going to be a lot of fun. So, Jackson, thanks so much for your efforts. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. Talk soon. Bye.